Good morning. Welcome into another work week. Nice short one here because we've got the Thanksgiving holiday coming up on Thursday. And of course, most of you are going to take Friday off as well. So we give you our best greetings for the 3-day week that is.
So bear in mind, when you're watching the replays, we will be wishing you happy Thanksgiving, even though it's already over. Mm-hmm. But hey, it's just what we do.
Yes, that's right.
We're funny that way.
I think what we're going to do is on Wednesday, we're going to do a show that can be seen multiple times.
No, I know. Let's do Easter.
I'm presuming we're not going to be here on Thanksgiving morning doing a TV show.
We are not going to be here on Thanksgiving
I'm presuming
morning.
that Alan is going to want his staff to enjoy Thanksgiving with their families.
Yes.
So we'll come up with something on Wednesday that'll really just knock your socks off.
We will not be here on Thanksgiving Day.
So,
as is traditional in broadcasting, except if you have to do the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
Or you're just on the radio and they just decide, no, go in and do your show, even though no one's listening.
I don't think I ever had to do a show on Thanksgiving Day.
Oh, dude, in music radio, when I was a jock, every stinking holiday, even though these are, we know that holidays themselves are absolute low radio use days. Nobody listens to the radio. Mm-hmm. It was just more convenient for those pansy-ass program directors to just make you come in and do your regular shift than it would be to come up with any kind of alternative programming to fill the slot.
When I was a music radio disc jockey, we used to get all kinds of programming to fill Thanksgiving Day, to fill Christmas Eve afternoon, to fill Christmas Day.
But that's work for the program director, Bill.
It was open reel tape. We just hang it and push play.
Yeah, and nowadays it's even simpler. It's like MP3s, and all you got to do is just dump it into a file and let the machine play it. Now, but I guarantee you that at a lot of these radio stations, if you check, you'll find that some of these radio people are still having to do their show live.
Now you know what stopped a lot of that. When everybody
automation?
No, when everybody who owns stations and runs stations got the bulletin from the Department of Labor saying, "Hey, you realize if it's a legal holiday for the rest of your staff and your on-air staff is working, you got to pay them overtime."
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to remember what it was at our last radio gig, but I remember most radio gigs, if you did work the holiday,
oh yeah, we got paid for that.
You'd get $50. You'd get $50.
No, we got time and a half at guarantee.
I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, we got.
But I mean, you got a salary, so they felt like, well, you work on a salary. The hours you work are open ended. No, not so much.
Well, and again, they all got the bulletin on that too. Where if that's the way you want to play it, if Bill and Kevin can come in and do their radio show in 20 minutes, they can walk out and just. You got it. If you want to play it that way, because the hours are open-ended. Open-ended doesn't mean just one end. It means both.
I can't tell you about a talk radio show, but we had what we called voice tracking, where you could go in and make it sound like a radio show and just insert you in amongst all that music. I could voice track a 5-hour radio show in about 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. And in and out, boom, boom, boom. I loved that stuff when it came along. Computers are the best thing that ever happened to broadcasting, but.
Yeah. Now I used to
here in Baton Rouge, though, radio stations hardly any of them have any people left working for them on the air.
No, they don't. They don't. If it doesn't come down the gas pipe.
Good luck getting Taco Boy to do a show on Thanksgiving Day. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you didn't.
I'm sorry.
Up here.
Thank you. Anyway, we hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving week.
Have a Taco Chico Christmas. Mm-hmm. So what do you think they serve on Thanksgiving? You think they serve like a giant turkey-shaped burrito?
Yeah.
With fajitas for stuffing?
Well, I'm wondering if the company party. Remember, we used to look forward to those company parties. I mean,
we did.
Prime rib, open bar, good food. But I'm wondering now if it's going to be tacos for everybody.
Well, I mean, again, there's not a lot of everybody left.
Yeah, it's the nature of the business. Broadcasting, we've talked about this before. Broadcasting has really had a rough year with COVID-19.
And
both television and radio. It's difficult to find people who have enough room in their budget with the COVID crisis to be able to afford to buy sponsorships to TV programs, which we're cheap, call us.
Yeah, we are cheap.
Or even a commercial schedule. So,
but here's the thing: there are people who, in broadcasting, made good decisions. They're saying who needs to maintain their image, who needs to keep up a good public image, and they went out and they made some very good deals with healthcare of all types, primary care, hospitals, big clinics. And they also made very good deals. They already make good deals to people like Walmart and things like that, because people are still going to be buying groceries. And this was mostly a television station. I did some checking. None of the radio stations were smart enough to go out there on day one
and sandbag.
Well, the thing is, the big problem that a lot of them have is they really don't know how to sell. Get in front of the right people and say, look, we know that a lot of our retailers are going to be closed down, but we know you all are going to be busting your butts, and we'd like to tell your story to keep your image high, and also give you access to our radio stations should you need to bring information out, and we'll put together the schedule today, and it'll be for this dollar, and everybody will be happy. But I mean, I've listened to all the local radio stations, and none of them have substantial schedules from any of these kind of advertisers.
I'll give you an example, and I'll mention the number one talk radio show in the country and in this city is the Rush Limbaugh program. And I listen whenever I have some time to listen to it. Do you know, you of course, Bill knows, but do you know what we mean when we say PIs? Per inquiries. Per inquiries are ads that you see, or there's like an 800 number to dial or a website to visit. And the person putting out the ad pays the broadcaster by the number of inquiries that come in based on that ad. In other words, if I'm trying to sell steel buildings and I put up an 800 number on my ad and nobody calls, then I owe the TV or radio station $0 because there haven't been any inquiries. Rush Limbaugh, the number one radio program, and this is their network time, not the local time.
Doing
I'm
PIs.
hearing PIs during the Rush Limbaugh program. Incredible.
Well, there is, when it comes to radio, not necessarily for television. Television is a bit more expensive, requires a lot more production, but the TV stations locally did it right. I think the radio stations just went, oh, well, we're going to be screwed, and left it alone. You don't think if you put together a desirable enough schedule for example, the City Pork restaurants. They've got 5 restaurants, 4, right? 5. What do you want?
There's 3 City Porks, and then there's Beausoleil, and there's Rouge.
And there's Rouge. So you don't think that you could put together an attractive schedule for them on their takeout meals that would make it worth their while? It's just that, I'm sorry, a lot of people in radio that are selling are this. If I can't do it with my thumbs, I don't know. I really don't know how to talk to people, and I don't like talking to people. And I always loved it. They used to do this thing. They would have a CNA, a client need assessment, which would delay the eventual no by 2 or 3 weeks because you're doing all this paperwork. And I looked at one of these salespeople and I said, here's your CNA. See the client and tell him he needs to advertise.
Right.
There's your CNA.
I needs it that man.
But they're thumbkins. They don't know how to do anything.
Well, we used to make jokes about it back in our old radio days about radio salespeople. We would speculate that a sales call would be like this. Hi, it's me, Dave, with the radio station. You don't want to buy any advertising, do you? Oh, okay. No, that's what I thought. See you, bye.
Let's take a break and talk about a guy who right now is having a worse day than we've ever had in the last couple of weeks.
You talking Donald Trump or Chief Paul?
I'm talking Chief Paul. His news conference is going on right now.
All right, a quick break. Exiles returns in a moment.
taste the feeling.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Manda Fine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Manda Fine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Manda Fine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
Desire in your eyes, but you can't keep it in your heart. 'Cause misery loves company. 'Cause misery loves company. Cold and hungry like a dog in the street. I get a raw deal every.
Hey, welcome back. It's Exiles TV. In case you didn't know, the parish of East Baton Rouge and the city of Baton Rouge is having a very violent 2020. And it's not what you'd think. You may be thinking, well, a lot of cities are having violent years with all the protests. We haven't had the protests. We haven't had the destruction. We haven't had the burning. What we have had is a conspicuous number of homicides. 5 over the weekend. 5 that occurred on Friday alone.
Yeah, and
Did we have any Saturday and Sunday?
no, I think we got lucky, but there's also woundings that go along with this, and that outnumbers the body count.
Here's the numbers roughly, and these are subject to correction. But so far, 2020, 184 homicides, 186 attempted murders, 1,732 firearm incidents. Let me say that again, 1,732. Mm-hmm. Which means that, quite frankly, the city is not safe. Right now, as we speak, the police chief, Baton Rouge police chief, is having a press conference to address the problem of crime and safety in our city.
And I feel bad because the 5 in one day got everybody's attention. But the 8 in the week before should have gotten everybody's attention too.
Can I offer something up that maybe, I don't know if I'm being fair or not, but sometimes I think when where the shootings and the murders take place dictates how much attention the shooting or the murder gets. When a shooting or a murder takes place on
72nd.
31st Street, nobody raises an eyebrow. Oh, that's the hood. Mm-hmm. And we're supposed to just expect that. But when it happens at I-12, a quarter mile on Sherwood Forest, a quarter mile from I-12, at a business in broad daylight, then people go, oh my God, what's going on in our city?
Well, these incidents on Friday were all over the map. All right, so they found a body at the Velrose Motel. That's way up on the northern part of Airline Highway.
Right.
Right where it makes its big left-hand turn to get you to the old bridge, as we call it.
4900 block. It's way up there.
All right, and then you got the 8000 block of Airline Highway. Then you got the Wise Communications, South Sherwood Forest, basically at I-12.
Yep, 2600 block.
Then you had an armed robbery that went bad on Astor Street, which is 3 blocks from LSU. Mm-hmm. Okay, from the north gates of LSU. And then you had the home invasion that was, I can't remember, it's one of those... Eleanor Streets. So, what I am seeing, to my eye, is this propensity for violent crime is spreading out a great deal. And let me tell you what, this is the big fear in an urban area, and it's very, very hard to address. When I was a kid growing up in Chicago, there was always a fairly decent, and by fairly decent I mean scary, homicide rate. But it was confined. You knew where the neighborhoods were that were shooting galleries. And the police tried to contain it.
South side of Chicago was the baddest part of town.
You're right about that. And the near west. But they contained it as best they could with a heavy police presence. And we weren't quite as enlightened in those days about civil rights as we are now. A lot of stop and frisk. A lot of, you live around here? No, then what are you doing here? That kind of thing. When it started to spread, that's when everybody hit the panic button. And I'm certainly not saying that we in Baton Rouge should hit the panic button. What I am saying is I don't think we are far away from a lot of accusations and a lot of finger pointing. Now bear in mind, there isn't a cop on this planet that can prevent a murder. You know?
No, but the right leadership in law enforcement can deter it.
Well, here's the thing.
If people have a healthy fear/respect of law enforcement, they might be a little less. They might be a little less eager to do things that might run them afoul of the law.
I don't want you to take this the wrong way, because I don't want it to be everybody slapping leather and drawing and shooting it out. But the guy who was robbing, what's his name? Timothy McCoy, the guy who was robbing Wise Communications, got shot dead in the parking lot as he was exiting the building for his trouble. We still don't know who shot him dead, okay? But, and this is a cautionary tale. I'm putting it more crudely than you did. But if the people who this holiday season, or who 3 weeks ago, thought they could pick up a weapon and jack a car, or take somebody's wallet, or walk through the doors of a store and say, give me the cash, if a lot more of them went out feet first, that is the ultimate deterrent for that kind of crime.
Word starts to get around that Jim. Everybody knows Jim from the neighborhood. Yeah, well, Jim tried to hold up, and he wound up getting shot for his trouble.
And he got 2 holes in his chest. He's on a slab.
That might be what. Don't be like Jim.
Well,
I don't know.
And if you had, and again, I know we're officers short. I know that. If you had more cops available to be very, very visible in these areas, there may be some deterrent value. But I believe that our leaders have sent a very, very bad message to all of us for years. And I believe that message is, we'll worry about it later. You don't try to make a consequence for the person who is trying to harm you, rob you, take your stuff, maybe even shoot you. This idea of very passively going along with somebody, it's like, big sign, this is a gun-free zone. Hey, I can go in there with a gun, nobody's going to resist. I really do believe it's time to stop giving that kind of message to merchants, to retailers, to people in neighborhoods where you might see a lot of people roaming around looking for targets of opportunity.
What I think businesses ought to do is they ought to put a sign on the door that said, this is not a gun-free zone. People in this store are armed. Think about that before you walk in here with your shenanigans.
Well, I think we ought to tell them it's up to you, but our advice is not to just give them the money, because they may just shoot you anyway, with the kind of criminals we've got. There is nothing wrong with a nice short shotgun. He's going to want you to come to the register to get the money. There's nothing wrong with a nice short shotgun, and you just cut him in half. And then after that, you know what? When they sponge everything up, when they take him away, we're all done here. He had a gun in his hand. We see him on the video pointing at you. We're not going to arrest you and question you and all that. If there's video evidence, have a nice day. Hope you get another one tomorrow.
See, unfortunately, the crime and the murders and the violence in Baton Rouge is making this mayoral race, which, by the way, we're in early voting now for the runoff between incumbent Sharon Weston Broome and challenger Steve Carter. And it's making that a decision. You got to look at the mayor's leadership, because the mayor is the one who replaced the police chief. And the previous police chief had brought crime numbers down.
Particularly the homicide numbers.
Particularly the homicide numbers, and other violent crimes were on the downtrend, but nothing would do, but he had to go. So to what extent do you lay the increase in crime at the feet of the mayor and the police chief?
Well, you know what? I think there's a question that's kind of intrinsic, and I was kind of surprised most people that were running for this office didn't ask it during the original election. And that is, can you definitively put your finger on the policy of this administration, all the way down to the street officer, on violent crime in Baton Rouge? And I mean the policy. I don't mean, oh, we don't like it. We know that. But you know, we knew when Jeff LaDuff was police chief, if he had probable cause, they were going to be kicking doors and shaking guns out of people's pockets. Same thing with Carl Dabadie. I'm not saying that the BRPD doesn't have that today. I'm saying we don't know, because they're trying to articulate an even-handed policy. And while that may be noble in its thought process, you know what it is? It's a laugh track for criminals.
There's a lot to be said for that, Bill. We need to take another commercial break, take care of some business. We'll talk more about this on the other side. And later on, we're going to take a look at some polling in the mayor's race. John Couvillon with JMC Analytics is scheduled to be our guest.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
From appetizers, pasta dishes, and entrees, La Contea takes pride in preparing all the Italian cuisine we know you love. Enjoy live music every Thursday through Saturday from 6 to 9, happy hour weekdays from 3 to 6, and brunch on Sundays from 11 to 2, as well as dinner portion-sized lunch specials for under $10. Visit our website to view our menu and book a party or meeting in our large banquet room. Once you try La Contea, your Italian dining will change forever.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down.
Taste the feeling.
Surprise, something good has finally happened in 2020. Yours truly, the Clarence Bugg Show, gets to be with you every day of the week. That's right, 11 to 12 every weekday. And of course, the Exiles right in front of yours truly from 10 to 11, yours truly 11 to 12. So now it's appointment viewing. 5 days a week here on the Pelican. The Clarence Bugg Show. The only thing missing is you.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
You could be driving.
Right now, during the Team Honda Upgrade event, get a new 20 Accord Sport for just $309 a month with no money down, no first payment, and no security deposit. It's time to upgrade to your new Honda at Louisiana's #1 new car dealer, Team Honda on Segan Lane.
Hey, we're back. It is Exiles TV. Bill Profito over there, and I'm Kevin Gallagher here. Right now, the police chief of Baton Rouge is having a press conference. I have no idea what he's saying because we're doing this television show, but we spoke with Chief Murphy Paul, 2, maybe 3 weeks ago on the program. And while we acknowledge to the chief that we understand that police can't do anything to prevent a crime from occurring, there are things that the police can be empowered to do by the local government that can help to deter a person's willingness to commit a violent crime. And I think in the past, this city has had an environment that was not friendly to violent crime. And I think that we had a criminal element that would think twice. I don't think anybody's thinking once, let alone twice. Now, I think that we got knuckleheads that slap leather and start firing a pistol, or in some cases a long rifle, at the slightest provocation.
I think we have to start looking at what the numbers are really telling us. And here's a good example, all right? This is Dr. Clark talking about the homicide rate, the coroner, because they all end up on his table.
Dr. William Bo Clark.
At this time in 2019, on November 23rd of 2019, there were 67 homicides in East Baton Rouge Parish. Today we are at what?
184.
184 homicides. But now here's what's interesting.
It's not the city, it's a parish. 184.
But in 40 days, in the last 40 days of 2019, that number grew by 30. It grew an additional 33% in the last 40 days of the year in 2019. So if ours grows by an additional 40%, we're going to be looking at 250 murders, which means we'll bypass Houston and Chicago and a lot of big major metropolitan areas. Where did the 184 number come from?
That was cited by, I'll name him by name, Lionel Rainey. Lionel Rainey is, I believe, representing the Steve Carter campaign. And before I stated that number earlier in the show, I said, I'm going to allow for these numbers to be corrected.
See, because I don't think we're at 184. I think we're at maybe 109.
Well, I think
right
109
now
may be the city number, my friend, and not the parish-wide. But I am in a position to be corrected. I'm not going to rely on those figures as completely accurate. But it's damned high either way.
But the point is, all of this stuff that sounds so good doesn't address the mounting numbers. And I think that a lot of the people that are right now debating whether they want to go Christmas shopping in some of our well-known shopping areas where the criminals also know a lot of people with money getting in and out of their cars, I think a lot of people are deciding whether they're going to stay here in 2021, that they want to know what's going to be done about these numbers now.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Now, the mayor-president is running for a second term. She's been in office for 4 years. In that 4 years, the population of East Baton Rouge Parish has gone down by over 9,000 people. All right? Now, when you look at that as a tax pie, okay, that means the pie has gotten smaller and smaller and smaller. And we've got this whole St. George situation where the city the people within the city government are suing to block the formation of the city of St. George because their side of the argument says that the city parish will lose about $44 million in sales tax revenue.
Yes.
Whereas the city of St. George says closer to 22 or 23. But nevertheless, the city of St. George could be the only way to stem the tide of outmigration from East Baton Rouge Parish. But we've got a mayor suing her own constituents to keep them from doing something that they observed all the legal procedures and even took a vote and passed a vote of the people to create their city. And I've never seen a situation where a woman running for re-election is suing citizens to block them from what they voted to do, and yet she wants you to vote for her.
Well, and I understand your sentiment, and a lot of people's sentiment. I agree with that as well. But here's the thing. None of that gets us to the point where the sheriff and the police chief come together and say, all righty, we are now going to put every night from 8 p.m. to 7 a.m., 30 more street officers in unmarked cars in these areas to look for suspicious people, to try to keep them from committing crimes, to try to deter the on-the-street armed robberies like the Astor Street thing. You know, this is what people need to hear. They don't want to hear about a plan. They don't want to hear about an election. They don't want to hear about St. George breakaway lawsuit. They want to hear, Chief, Sheriff, please, how many more people are you going to put out on the street starting now to try to tamp this down, to be close enough to make it come down, to where the guy getting out of the car with the gun in his pants can see you and says, maybe I need not to get out of the car with a gun in my pants to go in to this cell phone store and try to rob it. All right, so on Friday, before the end of the day Friday, the city's total homicides were 103 on Friday.
103, the city.
The city. Now, but there haven't been 85 murders in the parish. There have not been that many murders in St. George.
I'll try and scare that number up. Let's find out.
Yeah. Yeah. There have not been that many.
So, you were saying?
Well, what I'm saying is it's bad enough where it is right now, okay? We have still got 45 days to go in the year, and last year there was a 35% increase or 40% increase in homicides in the last 35 days of the year.
Okay. For the parish, the entire parish, from Bo Clark's office, 115 is the number.
Yeah,
that's still damned high.
Well, it's way too damn high.
Damned high. The highest number so far for total. Now, we've already surpassed two previous records for how high it got early in the year. The absolute peak was reached in 2017 with 124. But that was for the entire year. And barring anything unforeseen, that's 9 more homicides. We could do that here in a week in this, with the way things are in this town.
God help us, we probably will.
Lowest in recent years, 53. That was the year 2003. So I don't know. What's to be done? And can the chief do anything about it? And again, I don't want to show lack of support for the chief. I've met the chief. I like the chief. And I don't know that I could do any better. But is there anything the chief can do other than, as you suggested, put more cops on the street? And I like the unmarked car idea.
Oh God, yeah.
They don't see them coming. That might change things considerably.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
There's also the question about the marked car. What about just we can see police presence? It's not safe to pull this crime. Police are liable to show up anytime. Police pull into the Walgreens, on the corner of, Airline and whatever and check it out from time to time. They keep tabs. You know, and that's what cops used to do. They drive their beat. They'd stop at businesses. They'd do a quick walkthrough. How are things going? And you know, I just don't think they have the resources to do that like they used to. Well, we'll find out. There no doubt will be coverage summarizing what the chief has to say today. In the meantime, we're going to talk a little bit about the statistics and the polling going into this mayoral runoff here. John Couvillon joins us in just a moment from JMC Analytics and Polling. A quick break. Exiles TV. Be right back.
Bellelo's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing. You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day. Bellelo's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
By all standards, he is a champion for consumers. Because of Public Service Commissioner Eric Skrmetta, our utility rates are 35% less than the national average, the lowest in all of America. He saved ratepayers over $8 billion. Commissioner Skrmetta brought us more reliable power plants and energy-efficient solar fields. Public Service Commissioner Eric Skrmetta. Keep the commissioner who keeps our rates low.
Hi, I'm Hurricane Betsy Barnes.
And I'm Dr. Kay Siller with the Rocket Right Show.
We are two busy blondes on the go showing off life in Louisiana.
Watch us on Pelican Sports Network.
And Talk 107.3 FM. Check local listings for times.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
I'm self-employed and didn't report all my income. They claim I owe a lot more than I do.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal.
Tax Solutions Now saved my business.
I qualified for the Fresh Start program. I paid less than I owed.
We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who get the IRS off your back. Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions now.
Call 800-778-4345. 800-778-4345.
Welcome back to Exiles TV. Glad to have you along with us on this Monday before Thanksgiving. I'm Bill Profita. He's Kevin Gallagher.
Hi.
And in the center chair, you know his face. He is John Couvillon with JMC Analytics. He is a demographer and a pollster and works largely in the political arena. And John, how have you been?
Been good.
So, without, I don't know if you're working for either of the two candidates for mayor, so without getting terribly specific, what are you feeling? What are you seeing in the numbers on the mayor's race?
Well, the thing which I think is a fundamental misunderstanding of one of the mayoral candidates is that you have not only the fact that Sharon Weston Broome and Denise Marcel got 55% of the vote combined, but Joe Biden carried this parish with 56%. So in other words, you have a very strong Democratic vote to begin with. And what is Steve Carter's opening shot? Talking about voter fraud. In other words, why don't you focus on things that matter to East Baton Rouge Parish, such as talking about crime, talking about getting our economy back, talking about infrastructure, projects that need to be made, things like that. But talking about voter fraud, to me, that is something that has a very narrow resonance, and I truthfully don't understand what he thinks he's going to get out of it. I mean, yes, all the Republicans endorsed him, but that kind of is the bare minimum he needs to be competitive in the runoff, especially since I'm terribly sorry to interrupt.
No.
The other thing
I interrupted you.
The other thing that's important to realize while I'm kind of not speaking positively of what I see as the campaign strategy thus far, the first 2 days of early voting were very heavily Democratic. And being that Saturdays are traditionally strong Democratic days, that leaves Republicans today, tomorrow, and Wednesday to play catch up, and that's it.
So what I was going to say is a campaign message of being a butthurt Trump voter is not going to wash in this largely Democratic parish.
Right. What you have to do is find areas where you believe that Sharon Weston Broome has failed as mayor, and you run with that. And I think the crime rate is something that's a very obvious messaging point. And so that, to me, is the kind of thing that should have been the messaging point starting with November 4th and going forward.
Well, let me ask you this. When you or your contemporaries who do this for a living poll in East Baton Rouge Parish, and you ask in a mayoral race, what is the most important issue? Is it, as a lot of us might surmise, crime, or are we just going with the sensational? Is there another issue that's number one on the mind of the voters?
Well, I think that crime is certainly part of it, given the increasingly gruesome news reports you've been seeing in the TV and the paper of places that are being hit with violent crime that you would not have stereotypically thought would be crime central. So that's certainly number one. But I think number two, you could talk about, okay, we have a stagnant economy. What is our current mayor doing to bring it back? That's issue number two. And issue number three, I just think, is talking about, you know, what has she done and what would she do in the next 4 years? Those are the kinds of things, to me, that need to be the focus.
One thing that the city parish government is not in a good place in is that it's extremely highly leveraged. I think the stat was the 5th most leveraged city government in the United States of America. And that's a lot of debt for a town the size of Baton Rouge to be carrying. But do voters care about that at all?
Are you talking about the high retirement debt?
General debt. You know, the East Baton Rouge, the city parish, has borrowed a lot of money to keep running.
I think that if you could talk about it in terms of financial irresponsibility, and it's kind of a worst of both worlds, because if you're talking about the debt level, in addition to the fact that it doesn't seem that infrastructure projects are being done, then those to me are some issues that needs to be raised. In other words, don't talk about things that only matter to a few Republican voters. You need to talk about things that matter to more middle of the road voters.
Let me ask you this. I mean, the thing is, if debt were an issue, you wouldn't have had a president reelected, you know, over the last 60 years in this nation.
Right.
I think a lot of people's eyes glaze over when you talk about debt.
That was the nature of my question.
Because most of it is guaranteed by the feds, and it's offset by municipal bonds, and it's really technically borrowing, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not like J.P. Morgan Chase is going to knock at the door at 300 St. Louis Street and say, you're behind on your payment, I'm going to take these desks out of here.
Yeah.
You know, it's not that. But what I do think is we are entering a season where everybody's been cooped up.
Yeah.
And people want to have their holiday season, and what they don't want is they don't want to think, if I go to Mall of Louisiana, there might be some thug in the parking lot with a gun that wants my money in my car.
Yeah.
And that's what nobody is addressing directly.
Right, and I think too, what is to me a closely related issue to the crime issue is the fact that panhandlers are pretty much operating with impunity.
Oh, yeah.
And so it used to be, I still remember in the early 90s, the first places you would see that kind of activity would be the I-10 at College Drive exit. Now it seems like every intersection of any size, you got people wanting money, and the thing is, it's soliciting. And the fact that it has not been enforced or discouraged, it totally escapes me why the city parish has not cracked down on that.
It does me too, and I have noticed seemingly law enforcement, both the sheriff and the city police, I don't know if they're told not to mess with them or not, but I've seen guys doing can shake at intersections, and there's a sheriff's office vehicle or a police vehicle right there.
Well, see, I've been told, and I don't know that it's true, that church groups and all that can get a permit to can shake. because it used to be they only allowed firefighters to do it for MDA, and they realized that you can't allow them to do it and not let others to do it.
Yeah, but the one-armed guy with the thing that's a cardboard sign says Vietnam vet,
He ain't got a permit.
and it's dangerous to stand in traffic at a red light.
Well, it is dangerous, and it's also becoming in this city dangerous for people to just normally be stopped at a red light with all the shootings we've had car to car.
Yeah.
John, it sounds to me though like when you just apply purely the numbers, that it seems like statistically Sharon Weston Broom's headed for another term.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, the numbers are certainly more favorable to her, but my attitude is if you're going to contest the runoff, you at least need to do things which you believe could bring the numbers down, which is start addressing crime, things like the panhandling, where's our city going in the next 4 years, things like that. In other words, I haven't really seen much evidence of a campaign yet from the other side. And just to give you an example of how that is not good is that besides the fact that the Democrats have had a very good first 2 days of early voting, I'm also seeing Sharon Weston Broom's people canvassing neighborhoods, whereas I'm not seeing any apparent activity from the Carter people other than sign waving at the early voting site. I'm not a big fan of sign waving, by the way.
It's never changed my mind.
Yeah, it's okay. It lets people know that there's an election, but it also can let the other side know that there's an election as well. To me, what is far more effective than sign waving, but since it's less sexy, it doesn't get done, is phone banking. In other words, get your list of Republicans and favorable independents and favorable Democrats and start pushing them to the polls. But for whatever reason, that's not being done. And that to me is something that is hurting the Carter campaign, because you can't win the runoff on TV commercials alone, especially when your vote is only about 45% of the vote, as evident by the primary, and the Democrats are voting even more strongly in the runoff.
We need to take a break. When we come back, I'm going to give you two names and ask for your thoughts, or maybe you've polled this, on their impact on the election. And by the way, sign waivers have changed my mind once. They were on opposite corners, and this candidate had more geeky looking sycophants than that candidate did, so I changed my vote away from the one with the most geeky looking sycophants. Who wants to go out there and wave a sign? What the hell is wrong with you? Back in a moment on Exiles TV.
I think it's one of those check the box things. It's like, what's fun?
Caught spiders. Premier Pest Services.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down.
Taste the feeling.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Fruget Jr., and I am a general dentist at Fruget Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
From appetizers, pasta dishes, and entrees, La Contea takes pride in preparing all the Italian cuisine we know you love. Enjoy live music every Thursday through Saturday from 6 to 9, happy hour weekdays from 3 to 6, and brunch on Sundays from 11 to 2, as well as dinner portion-sized lunch specials for under $10. Visit our website to view our menu and book a party or meeting in our large banquet room. Once you try La Contea, your Italian dining will change forever.
Louisiana's #1 Honda dealer, welcomes you to our biggest clearance sale of the year, the Happy Honda Days sales event. Get year-end clearance pricing on over 900 new Hondas, plus a complimentary lifetime powertrain warranty with every new Honda. Save thousands on your new Honda right here at Team Honda.
Hi, business owners. Phase 3. Woohoo! But do your customers know you're back? Well, that's where the Clarence Bugg Show and Pelican Broadcasting can help. Right now, we've got great rates on advertising packages to help you get the word out. Shoot me an email at bugsclarence@gmail.com. Or better yet, call me up. I'd love to talk with you. 225-485-6839. Let's get together and make Phase 3 the best it can possibly be.
Got termites? Get Premier Pest. PremierPestServices.com.
Hey, we're back. Exiles TV, one last bite of the apple this morning. Our guest is John Couvillon. He is with JMC Analytics and Polling on Twitter, @WinWithJMC.
So I've got two names for you. One of them you mentioned. You talked about Denise Marcel's vote that she got. So I'm going to give you that she had told one Republican candidate early on that if she didn't make the runoff and he did, she would endorse him.
Right.
And then you have Tara Wicker.
Right.
Who got the most money the quickest from traditional Republican donors because they thought that she could, kind of ride the fence and do very well. Now, Tara is next to Steve at the night of his made the runoff party, election night.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Denise has endorsed or not, but let's say these two really do put the full weight of what they can do behind Steve Carter. Does it make a difference?
It theoretically could maybe peel off a couple percent of the black vote and perhaps dampen some of the turnout enthusiasm. But the thing is, to me, for that to happen, it really needs to be full force and it needs to be yesterday. In other words, you already have early voting underway and people are in a Thanksgiving mood. And so, to me, people's attention to politics is going to start to wane even more so after Thanksgiving is over. You're noticing how Christmas trees are going up earlier than they normally would.
Oh, God,
have?
yeah.
So point being is people are going to be even less politically inclined once you get past Thursday. And so whatever politically needs to be done, to me, it needs to be done yesterday. I mean, theoretically, yeah, if Denise and Tara were to endorse Steve Carter and it got widely played, that might make a small dent. But I'm kind of getting of the opinion that the die is largely cast, and you really need to go full out now.
So the campaign's over, effectively.
Pretty much.
Well, now if I were doing it, and I'm not, this could be for either candidate, so I'm not going to pick one over another. If I were doing it, the biggest television watching days of the year are just in front of us, and it's got a lot of high viewership. You got some football games everybody's going to watch. You've got some traditional movies. Everybody's inside. I would buy the hell out of TV and I would stand there and say, are you more thankful today than you were 4 years ago?
Yeah.
Think about it. If you're not, vote for me, whoever it was.
Or, you could talk about how, this is pushing things, but I think it's still legitimate in the world of campaigning. Talk about how Sharon Weston Broome doesn't really have any plan to get us back to recovery other than us wearing masks forever and being locked in for Christmas. Because I do think at this point, 8 months later, we're getting into coronavirus fatigue.
Oh, we're beyond just getting into it.
And the thing is, you have kind of several things going on. The holiday season, which people love to enjoy with their family, number one. Number two, the fact that you have a third spike, people are just kind of starting to lose interest in it. And number three, the fact that the vaccine has been distributed, people are now thinking, okay, well, it's over. So point being is, any politician who's thinking they could just keep locking people down, I think they're going to find that they're going to get a less and less of a return on their investment in terms of the effectiveness of that.
In your research, have you seen any black voter dissatisfaction with Ms. Broome?
Well, you had 7% of the vote that went to Denise Marcel, so that obviously shows that percent of the black vote that was not sold on her.
But
is it significant?
Will she get that vote back? The 7% is not a lot.
More likely than not. But point being is, the fact that Denise Marcel is not enthusiastically endorsing her, I think
That
the
much
Carter
is true.
campaign needs to take full advantage of that and take advantage of Tara Wicker. And you're right. I mean, not just the shows you mentioned, but other one which I think you're going to get some decent viewership is bringing back the Charlie Brown Thanksgiving. That kind of old classic people are going to watch. Point being is all those kinds of shows that have any kind of viewership, yes, you need to be doing TV around the clock, because even though with early voting being a substantial part of the total electorate, things will be taken care of, there's still time, in my opinion, to do something in the last week. I mean, personally, I think it should have been done on November 4th, but being that it's not November 4th anymore,
absolutely.
it's kind of a case of how do we make the best of a bad situation.
But the thing is, I think you have to address not what you think, but what the people are thinking right now. If you're the incumbent, are you thankful that I've been here for you and want to be here for 4 more years?
Right.
If you're the challenger, are you more thankful now than you were 2 years ago?
Right. Put it very simply like that.
Well, it's going to be interesting to shake out. John, as always, we appreciate your being with us.
Thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
You can,
Always a pleasure.
he publishes some white papers on his website, which is winwithjmc.com, right?
Yes. And winwithjmc.com for Twitter, where I constantly post political things, such as following the coronavirus numbers every day, such as following the early voting numbers, seeing what's happening with those 1 million voters left in New York to be counted, and so forth.
And he has his Christmas wish list there, too.
Yes.
John, thank you for being with us. And to all of you, remember a replay tonight at 10 o'clock and Clarence Bugs in just about 6 minutes here, right after the top of the hour. Until that time, when we meet again, stay well, stay safe, and don't forget to vote.
And may God bless. Take care.